Welcome back into Spotlight. So Russell Wilson is entering his now 14th season in the league. But things are very different now for the 36-year-old. After spending nearly 10 years in Seattle, he is now on the fourth team of his career in 2022, going to Denver, a quick stint with the Steelers last year, and now trying to find the fountain of youth with the Giants. Only is it to be found? Here's more from Russ.
Yeah, I think the guys are doing a great job. Just the bonding, the time we spent together, all the hard work, the times in San Diego, the time, with the O-line and the whole offensive dinners and all that. But ultimately, the time in the film room, the time in the locker room, the time on the field. Obviously, it's been a great training camp, great OTAs. Couldn't be much better. And I think that the biggest part of it is just us, knowing that we're ready to go. We're locked in. We're ready to play some football.
We're ready to watch some football. Let's welcome in Emory Hunt, Ryan Wilson. So we have Russell Wilson now with the Giants, now 36 years old. It has been a minute since we have seen what anybody would like to see from Russ. Emory, I'm going to start with you. You spent a lot of time at the Giants camp, and you get Jackson Dart also waiting in the wings. What are the feelings on Russ heading into the season?
The feelings are pretty doggone good. And I think when you look at how the offense responded to Russell Wilson being out there, you saw a little bit of pep in everybody's step. The offensive line, the wide receivers now knowing that the deep ball is in play, that they're going to actually get a chance to go deep down the field. The running game, knowing that they're going to benefit from Russell Wilson's ability to throw the football deep down the field, which opens up things in the run game. So everyone was walking with a little bit of air of positivity, and Russ is a uniting factor. It also allowed Jackson Dart to really develop behind the scenes and work himself up from QB3 to QB2 on his roster. So Russ really raises the floor for this Giants football team. They love him out there in East Rutherford.
Yeah, I think Emory's exactly right. And I think you sort of talked about, Amanda, the history of Russ Wilson going back to his days in Seattle and how things took a quick turn to the south once he got to Denver. I think last year in Pittsburgh was probably better than people remember. It was a one-year stop before he moved on. But he offered some stability to that Steelers offense. And I think that's what he provides in both his ability to play within the scheme that Brian Daboll wants, and perhaps more importantly with Mike Kafka dialing up plays. That opens things up a little bit. And also the leadership qualities that Emory talked about, and more importantly, as Emory noted, there's no rush to get Jackson Dart out there. And look, this coaching staff is under a ton of pressure, but that doesn't mean you throw your young quarterback to the wolves when you have Russ Wilson there. Now look, this schedule is something that you would wish on your worst enemy and then feel bad about it, but it is what it is. And I think Russ is probably best suited to navigate it of all the veteran quarterbacks who landed on new teams this year. But it's going to be a lot of work to do in terms of what the schedule looks like. But I think Russ is probably the guy that you want to do it before you have to turn to Jackson Dart perhaps sometime late in the season. All
right, so more patience for getting Jackson Dart out there, somebody they don't have a lot of patience for. I mean, they do because they want him to be healthy, but left tackle Andrew Thomas, he had a season-ending foot surgery last year, guys, as you know, and now it looks like he's still shaky at practice. Emory, what can you tell us, and just how much do they need him out there?
He's one of the better offensive linemen at tackle in the NFL, so you definitely want him out there. You need him out there. But what I've noticed about this offensive line is that they've done a solid job, a yeoman's-like effort up front, and a lot of it is due to Russell Wilson being able to get into the right plays, get out of the bad ones, get the right checks up along the line of scrimmage. So we haven't seen the offensive line be a catastrophe like we have been talking about the last 5 years at Giants camp. So watching how Russ's leadership and his veteran nature and his experience come into play, he's making sure that everyone is doing what they can to be better. And so when Andrew Thomas does get back, it just enhances everything as a whole.
Yeah, so Andrew Thomas maybe isn't hitting on all cylinders during the training camp process, but Amanda, I'll read you this sad fact. When he hasn't played, the Giants are 3-15. So that is a pretty good indication of how important he is. And look, we can fault the Giants for a lot of things. I don't fault them for trying to improve the offensive line. When Andrew Thomas is healthy, as Emory noted, he is a really good football player. Evan Neal, for reasons that remain a mystery, has not worked out. He's now moved to guard, and he's now backup. So you have to go to battle with the guys you have, and if Andrew Thomas is healthy, that certainly helps that offense out a lot. But again, the schedule is going to be the overarching theme of this season, at least early on. But a healthy Andrew Thomas certainly helps things much more than what history tells us that team looks like, that offensive line looks like when he is on the sidelines.
Yeah, obviously his status for this game, they were very hopeful. Now that's up in question. Impact players to watch for the Giants. Ryan, I would like to start with you because this kid is phenomenal.
Yeah, so we talk a lot about the offense and the struggles they may face. Here's the biggest best friend of a quarterback, either young or old, a dominating defense. And you can make the case that necessarily the Giants didn't need an Abdul Carter at 3 because they have Brian Burns, because they have drafted Kayvon Thibodeau in round 1, because they have Dexter Lawrence. Everybody needs Abdul Carter. I don't care who you are, and he is going to be electric from day one. I'm sure Emory can tell you how dominant he was during training camp. He certainly flashed early on in preseason, and I think that's going to carry over. And you're not asking him to be a safety or a cornerback and make a bunch of decisions in space. You're saying pin your ears back and tackle the guy with the football and try to do it in 2.5 seconds. And he can do that consistently. And again, if the offense struggles, a defense that's going to be as dominant as this defense should be will make the offensive life eminently easier. And I think Abdul Carter is poised for a not only a big game, but a big rookie season.
I got to keep going back to Russell Wilson. Number one, he's a future first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm not going to let people off the hook. When this guy was in his prime, he was putting up numbers like Aaron Rodgers was in terms of the passing numbers, touchdown to interception ratio. And when you add the rushing component, he is definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, to what he does with the Giants, you look at what he did in Pittsburgh, what he did in Denver. He wasn't as bad as in Denver as people may remember. But the Giants are getting a guy that raises the floor of the offense. Think about the game against Washington last year. They lost that game 21-17. Washington scored 21 points. All were field goals. Giants were moving the football because they couldn't get it to the end zone. Now you have a better quarterback. When you had other quarterbacks outside of the previous one that was here for 6 years, all you talk about was the offensive line, all you talk about was the receiving options. And when other quarterbacks got in because the guy was hurt, you never heard anything about any of those other spots of the team because the quarterback matters here. It definitely raises the floor for the Giants. They'll be a much better football team than people may think.
Ryan, Emory is answering the question, but also making the case for Russell Wilson to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Do you agree?
I love Emory. I disagree. I like Russ. I love his last name. I wish I had his curly hair. I don't think he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
All right, so let's move on to the Commanders here. And I just got off a call. Shout out to our new show, NFL Today Plus. And Matt Ryan and Antonio Pierce, we were just talking about big storylines. And both of them feel like people aren't talking about the Commanders enough. This is a team that made it to the NFC Championship game. Jaden Daniels is phenomenal. And here we are still kind of overlooking them. Emory, your expectations for the Commanders in year 2 under head coach Dan Quinn?
Playoffs again. You want to see this team get back to the postseason. It now has to become a common thing when you have a franchise quarterback in Jaden Daniels. Now, what we've seen from them is to go out and get athletic tackles and athletic offensive linemen. So you go and get Laramie Tunsil, you go and draft Josh Connolly. And when you have athletic tackles, it opens up your entire playbook because you have a mobile quarterback. Now you get creative in how you can move him around the formation. You can get him outside the pocket. You have an athletic lineman that can get out there and kick out, block, or climb to the second level. It expands your running game east and west and your passing game east and west. But defensively, you want to see them find that extra edge rusher. They're still trying to find that guy because they went out and signed Von Miller, who's up there in age. So it tells you that's an area where they kind of want to, hopefully a young guy can come in, step in and be dominant. But I love the enthusiasm. I love what they've done on both sides of the ball. But getting those offensive linemen that are athletic allows you to do so many creative things offensively.
Ryan? Oh, I guess we don't have enough time for Ryan's response. So I'm going to skip over you, Ryan. Congratulations. You can answer on this next one, though. Give me an impact player for the Commanders. Sorry, you weren't important enough.
I was preparing my congratulations to Amanda Gary for NFL Today Plus, since you didn't talk to Emory and I about it during the break because you were so busy. But that's a great development for everyone, and I'm excited for you. In terms of the Washington Commanders, I'm going to just cheat off of Emory's paper and talk about the offensive line, specifically right tackle Josh Connerly Jr., who is going to start as a rookie, their first-round pick. Now, this is interesting for a couple of reasons. When you look back at last season, week 1, they had 4 different offensive linemen than the ones they have now. The only one that remains is Tyler Biotish. You see Connerly Jr. here. He played at Oregon at left tackle, and the athleticism is insane. He is the Jaden Daniels of left tackles or right tackles in terms of athleticism. He has not played a lot of right tackle, and one of the things that happened in the Senior Bowl is that he got exposed in a one-on-one drill. It doesn't mean anything other than he hadn't played a lot of it. Dan Quinn seems okay with it. Laramie Tunsil's on the other side, and this group can come together, especially against Abdul Carter. It'll be a great sign for what this means in the long term, and I think the long term is they should have legit aspirations to win this division this year. So I think we'll get a good glimpse of what the O-line looks like in week 1.
Emory?
I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel. It was easy for me because you take some of the pressure off Terry McLaurin. Deebo Samuel, the wild card piece for this Washington Commanders offense.
All right. Good job, guys, even if I screwed something up. Thank you so much. Yes, we are getting ready for the NFL Today Plus on Paramount Plus. Me, Kyle Long, Matt Ryan, Antonio Pierce. It is a new show. This is not your grandfather's CBS. It is going to be fun. It is going to be exciting. Can the guys ride kids' bikes? We're going to find out in Green Bay on Sunday.